So should he have got this deal?
In my opinion, no.
Qu'est-ce que ces gens-là ont fait pour mériter 30% de notre gaz?
9 billion?
Is it true?
It looks like a right.
This is Senegal on the West African coast. Millions of people live in poverty here, but the standard of living could be much higher. This is a country that's rich in natural resources. Large reserves of oil and gas have been discovered here, but some of this wealth has been lost through corruption. This is Romanian businessman Frank Timis. He's been involved in a series of controversial mining deals in Africa. His companies have faced many accusations, from bribing politicians to shooting miners. Philip Caldwell used to run a secretive offshore trust for Frank Timis, but he's agreed to talk because he became concerned about the way Mr. Timis does business.
This is Frank Timis, the president of Sierra Leone and the president of Burkina Faso.
So it seems he did a lot of work in West Africa.
He does a lot of work in West Africa. He certainly likes to call himself the godfather of West Africa.
In 2012, Frank Timis set up a company called Petrotim. It was given the exploration rights for 2 large oil and gas concessions off the coast of Senegal, even though it had no track record in the industry.
La société Petrotim, la société qui a finalement été retenue, n'aurait pas dû bénéficier de ces permis en attribution pour les raisons suivantes. C'est une société qui n'avait aucune expérience dans le domaine. Petrotim n'avait aucun passé connu, prouvé, pouvant justifier une expérience dans le domaine de la recherche pétrolière et de l'exploitation pétrolière.
It's very surprising that when there were other British companies, FTSE 250, big, decent-sized companies who'd had success in Africa, were unable to get this concession, and Petrotim was able to get such a large concession.
So should he have got this deal?
In my opinion, no.
A few months after the deal was signed, Senegal elected a new president. Macky Sall promised to fight corruption.
Nous mettrons un terme à la gabegie, à la corruption et ériger un système de gouvernance.
He quickly ordered an investigation into Frank Timis's deal. It concluded that Petrotim should lose the concessions. But the new president allowed Frank Timis to keep the 2 blocks anyway. It led to demonstrations in Senegal about the Timis deal. Protesters claimed that the president's family was cashing in through a company called Timis Corporation.
Il y a une société nébuleuse, obscure, qui s'appelle Timis Corporation, qui a 30% de nos gaz que personne ne connaît. Nous leur demandons de nous dire quels sont les actionnaires de Timis Corporation. Qu'est-ce que ces gens-là ont fait pour mériter 30% de notre gaz?
The deal looks suspicious because Frank Timis gave a top job to the president's brother, Aliou Sall, even though he had no experience in the energy industry. Why do you think that Frank Timis wanted to employ Aliou Sall?
Ben, tout simplement parce qu'il était le frère du président Macky Sall. Ben, c'est gravissime, parce qu'il y a manifestement conflit d'intérêts. C'est le président de la République qui signe le décret qui permet au contrat d'entrer en vigueur, et son frère travaille dans le groupe qui bénéficie de ce contrat. C'est gravissime.
We obtained documents that reveal the details of Aliou Sall's contract for the first time. The contract shows the president's brother was paid $25,000 a month for 5 years. That's $1.5 million. Aliou Sall was also promised shares worth $3 million in Frank Timis's companies. We showed the contract to an expert on due diligence and corruption.
The monthly payments of $25,000 for a consultancy, a little surprisingly large for somebody that has no previous experience in that industry. The explanation for which seems to be that it's connected with the confirmation by his brother, the president, of the license blocks.
Do you think this is a suspicious arrangement?
I do find the payment suspicious. The linkage between the two is unmistakable in my view.
Aliou Sall denies corruption. His lawyers say his payments were in line with other similar roles in the industry. He never received the shares and was engaged for his expertise, and not because he happened to be the brother of President Sall. They also say he never attended any meeting with President Sall about the deal.
We are a global energy business with enormous reach across the world's energy system.
In 2016, gas was discovered in the concessions and BP agreed to buy Frank Timis out. BP bought Timis Corporation's remaining stake in these concessions for $250 million. But that's just the start. The real cash comes from the royalties. We've obtained details of the royalties agreement. It's described as the most generous in the industry. Over the next 40 years, BP will pay Timis Corporation between $9 and $12 billion. These figures have never been made public before. This is some of how much he could earn.
Then he will get 9 billion?
Mm-hmm. He could make, yeah. What do you think about this?
But is it true?
Yes, this is true.
I'm shocked. I'm deeply disappointed that our leaders can accept such deals. There is no reason that such money to be given to Frank Timis. This is unacceptable, properly unacceptable. I mean, it's revolting. I mean, yes.
BP says its investment will bring substantial benefits to Senegal and that it conducted extensive and appropriate due diligence in areas including ethics compliance and anti-corruption. BP rejects any implication that it acted improperly. But our documents show that BP knew about the suspicious payments to the president's brother, and it went ahead with the deal anyway.
It's absolutely indefensible that a company like BP should be rewarding somebody like Frank Timis, particularly when BP really cannot guarantee that there wasn't bribery involved in the obtention of these blocks in the first place.
BP Chief Executive Bob Dudley won't answer our questions. Mr. Dudley, I work for BBC Panorama, and we want to know why BP is paying Frank Timis $10 billion.
Really not.
You knew that he was paying the president of Senegal's brother, so why go ahead with the deal, sir? So is Frank Timis someone that BP should be doing business with? Mr. Dudley, why won't you answer our questions? Frank Timis' lawyers say he didn't set up or control Petrotin. They say the gas deal would give Senegal many billions of dollars per annum, and that Mr. Timis invested high-risk pioneer capital and used his expertise to attract major oil and gas players. But we've discovered a payment that looks like a bribe. This is an email sent to Frank Timis' offshore trust. It says tax is due to the Senegalese government and that Frank Timis would like $250,000 to cover it. But our documents show the cash doesn't go to the government. It goes to a private company. And we've discovered the company is owned by Aliou Sall. Another $250,000 has been secretly paid to the president's brother.
Okay, we have a company that seems to belong unmistakably to Monsieur Aliou Sall. He seems to be the recipient of the transfer, the $250,000, which is odd because it's described as a tax. And he is, as far as I know, a private citizen, although his brother is now the president of Senegal. It looks like a bribe.
Frank Timis' lawyers deny he paid a bribe. They say no money was ever transferred from Timis Corporation to Agritrans Sall, and that we've seen an incorrect ledger entry which was later corrected. But the ledger we've seen is from 2017, 3 years after the $250,000 payment, and it hasn't been corrected. We've also seen company accounts that show the suspicious payment was made to Aliou Sall's company.
I do think that there are sufficient questions aroused by the documents that I've seen to require an investigation.
Our evidence suggests the people of Senegal have been cheated out of billions of dollars.
There's no way we can accept this kind of deal here in Senegal. That money belongs to us.
It's Frank Timis who is getting that money, and it's BP who has helped him to cash in.